All right, finna go ahead and get it started. We finna go ahead and get it started. Nobody's on here. It's all good, man. It's all good, man. I ain't worried about it. I ain't worried about it at all, man. We're gonna get it rocking, man. All right. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Life of a Champ podcast, episode number 70. 70 is a big number. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get a rocking today. Just a few things before I go ahead and get it started. Make sure you go ahead and tap in with the TikToks. I posted a few TikToks today. I post 2 to 3 every single day, 5 days a week. So make sure you tap in with that because that is where I'm going to be giving out the game in short form. And short form's taking over, so you definitely need to tap in with that for sure. Other than that, going live on Twitch as well. So if you're in the Twitch stream, make sure you go and say it was good. But other than that, let me bring up my notes real quick. So the topic of the podcast, episode number 70, what 7 months without a job has taught me, right? So this is going to be a podcast that I've definitely been waiting to make for a little bit now. I actually wanted to make a video about this, but I felt like it'd be better if it was more authentic and genuine with a live stream. So that is what I'm doing, and like I said, obviously, number 70 of the podcast, right? First one that breaks out the 70s. Might as well do 7 months without a job because that's pretty much what my life circumstance is. So I'm gonna go ahead and explain the entire thing in its entirety. So why did I even decide to go a period where I didn't have a job in the first place, right? So the reason for me doing this is because it's not exactly an opportunity that many would take in life, and it's not an opportunity that many can take in life, if that makes any sense, right? So I'm gonna say that one more time. It's not something that many people can take, and it's not something that so many people will take in their life, right? So this is a break in my period of life where I went through high school, and then after high school I started working because I didn't go to college because quite frankly I just didn't think college was the best route to go. So I decided to get into the workforce, right? And as soon as I got into the workforce, and even before I even got into the workforce, I started to really think about where I wanted my life to go, how I wanted to live my life, right? What did I want out of this life? What lifestyle do I want to have, right? Asking myself all these questions. And basically what it came down to is creating an escape because quite frankly the life I was living, or the trajectory of my life working a job, is not aligned to where I wanted to be. So I'm gonna explain the decision and why I made the decision in the first place. So we got a few people coming in here. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Make sure to leave a comment just like see us in here. KJ holding it down as always. Um, yeah, appreciate that. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get rocking. So like I said, I had a job, right? I had a job, and I could have been completely content and fine with the job, right? But I realized that I needed to create a way out, right? If anyone is familiar with the rat race, which is a what do I call it? It's a reference that comes from a book called Think and Grow, or not, actually not that one. Rich Dad Poor Dad comes from that one. Basically, it is the process that most people go through, right? You get out of school, you work a job, you get paid, you pay your bills, go back to work. It is the vicious cycle that most people are in and most people never escape, right? If you want to live an average life, it's not hard to live an average life because, quite frankly, you just have to do exactly what I just said. You have to get out of school, you have to get a job, you work your job, you get paid, you pay your bills, and you go back to work. And it's like I said, this is one of the most vicious cycles that, people don't even recognize is taking place, but quite frankly, they think it is essential. And to an extent, it is essential, but you also, like I said, depending on what life you want to live, you need to create a way out, right? So, thankfully, in my life circumstance, it has been a little bit easier than I would say a lot of people's paths, and that's exactly why I made the decision to go an extended period of time without a job. So, obviously, I have my living expenses covered, which is shout out to my mom, shout out to uh, my stepdad John, shout out to my sister Bree. All these people made it possible for this to happen, and also shout out to me. I put in the work. I saved up enough money where I can, live an extended period of time without having a job, right? So I can have my bills and everything paid for, right? So, like I said, create a way out. Like I said, I've done something that not many people would do, right? Is take some time to dedicate a specific point in their life to a certain endeavor, and this endeavor is this podcast. This endeavor is this entire platform, essentially, right? Building it every single day, learning new things every single day, allowing myself time to think about the life I want to live and how I want to live it, and plan these things out thoroughly. Which brings me to my next point, right? So this is step one of a step four plan has been completed. The foundation has been laid. That is what I called it. The foundation has been laid. That was step one of my entire process. Um, the other steps will be released later on, but like I said, this first one, the foundation has been laid. I've posted over 220 videos up to this point, and like I said, this is episode number 70 of the podcast. So I have created a strong foundation and have became the most underrated podcast in the entire world, as well as became the most underrated YouTuber in this entire world. There's not many YouTubers you can find with the amount of content that I produced that has a small subscriber count of less than 150. You won't find it. You won't find it unless you do. Let me know, and then I could be wrong, but quite frankly, I'm pretty sure I'm right. I've never seen anybody who has this low of a subscriber count with this amount of videos posted, with the amount of quality that I put in, with the time that I put in, with the amount of thought that's put in. I don't know anybody, quite frankly. Like I said, if you know anybody, let me know. Let me know. But with that being said, you got to understand that slavery is so easy to fall into, and I'm going to say modern day slavery is so easy to go into. Right? It's not being able to escape the matrix, which a lot of people are familiar with. So I'll use that terminology. Right? It is very easy to be enslaved in a free society, and it sounds a little weird, right? But that is exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is. So I'm going to tell you the ways in which you get trapped. You get trapped within society, and if you're a person around my age, I would suggest that figure out ways to avoid this trap, because these traps exist, right? First trap, okay, so you get out of high school, right? Some of the traps that people go into. They get into one of these three traps. If not even, maybe even all three, if they're that smart. In my opinion, you're not that smart if you do this. So number one is go to college. To get into debt, which, like I said, college is the only place where you can really get into debt without going to jail and stuff like that, right? Or paying fines, whatever. So number one, unless it is something that you truly want to do and there's actually a place for it and you can't learn it anywhere else. If you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, maybe a certain type of engineering, right? If obviously trade school is fine in my opinion, right? College, don't just go to college because people tell you to go to college, right? Have a reason for going, have a plan, a very thorough plan, because that is a big decision, a very very big decision to go to college for a lot of people, right? And it is pushed on every single person to go to college. It's encouraged to go to college, but a lot of people at 18 or 17 or whatever, whenever you get out, right? They don't know anything about what they want to do. They're so distracted with just their day-to-day life that they don't even exactly know what they want to do. So they go ahead and listen to everybody around them, and maybe everyone around them doesn't exactly have their best interest in mind because they don't know the specific situation that they're living in. So let's just say they do it and they go to college, right? So now you're in debt. And maybe you don't even know what you want to go to college for. So now you're fucked both ways, because now the money that you make is going to be, some of it's obviously going to be paid towards your debt, but also you have no real plan for your life, right? And you can get easily lost. And most people do. And here's the thing: what is in college? A lot of temptation, a lot of lust, a lot of, degeneracy, right? That is college. That is part of the college experience: is going to parties, having random hookups, chilling with people all the time, right? That is the environment that you're in, and in my opinion, it is not a environment set up for you to thrive thoroughly. It's not. Even if you want to go for, like I said, a doctor, a lawyer, whatever, it is so easy to get trapped. It is so easy to get distracted by just your environment around you. Your environment is not exactly set up for you to succeed, because there's a lot of temptation, like I mentioned. So that is the first trap that I would say to avoid. Another trap is going to be getting a car payment, right? So if you're working a job, a full-time job, part-time job, right? You buy a brand new car. Now you're obligated to pay a certain amount of money every single month until, obviously, you pay off the car, right? Renting is a whole nother deal. I definitely wouldn't recommend it either. But that is another thing some people do because they think it's cool, right? There's obviously perks to buying a new car, right? You buy a new car, you get more attention, quite frankly, right? Let's just say in the dating marketplace, you're going to get more attention if you have a newer car. Let's just keep it 1,000, right? But now, how do your pockets look? You have a liability. You do have a liability now. You're obligated to pay a liability. And now it depends on where you want to go in this life. It depends what you want to do. But if you're content with being average, then I would say go ahead and buy a new car, because there's going to be a lot of instant gratification perks to buying a new car. So go ahead and do it, right? Now, like I said, if you want to live an extraordinary life, that is not a decision. It's not a decision I would make before you have your money where you need it to be to buy a new car. A lot of people, like I said, buy a new car because there's the instant gratification perks of it. Like I said, the dating marketplace. Another one is obviously, let's just say something goes wrong with your car. You just go bring it back to the dealership to fix it, whatever, right? So there is perks. There is perks to it, but like I said, you're obligated to pay, let's just say $300 to $400 a month, maybe even $500 a month for a car, depending on how good your credit is, depending on if you have a cosigner, depending on a bunch of different things, right? But with that being said, that is another trap, because now it is a liability you place on top of yourself. Another liability that you place on top of yourself, and some people think is a good idea because, it gives you more independence, but quite frankly, I think it's bullshit, is moving out. Is moving out early. And, some people are forced into this. Other people like me is a person who, like I said, my parents are nice people who genuinely care for my future. So they allow me to, do what I need to do in order to get to where I need to get to. Right. And I appreciate them and thank them more than they even know. So with that being said, another trap that people fall into is moving out, right? You get that independence, right? Like I said, with the dating marketplace, you have your own place, you're going to be able to attract more women. That's just as simple as that. Now, like I mentioned before, right? And when it comes to the car, right? How do your pockets look? How do your pockets look? Now, if you have a brand new place, like hear me out. Some people have this shit. Some people are living this reality. They're my age, 20 years old. They have their own place. That means they're paying their own rent. They have a new car, and they're going to college. Now, with all the things that I've explained, does that sound like a great idea? In my opinion, it can sound like a great idea, but when you really break it down, when it comes to the liabilities, it does not sound like a great idea. And now, of course, there are certain set circumstances. Let's just say you have to move out, right? Let's just say you have nowhere to live, so you need to work so you can have your own place, right? That's one thing, right? Now, if you are able, if you just want the independence, but you have nothing wrong with your current living situation, then there's no real reason for you to move out, especially if, like I said, you have your living expenses paid for, right? That's a liability. So, Nate, like I said, there's a lot of convenience and there's a lot of instant gratification perks to it. But quite frankly, it is a liability. So let's just say you have a car payment and you have an apartment to pay for. Let's just say it is you have a $300 car payment, you have a $2,000 a month payment for the apartment that you rent, right? So you have $2,300 that is automatically taken out of what you make instantly. With that being said, you don't set yourself up for a great position to first be able to even allow yourself to think of a way out of the matrix or out of the rat race, right? You don't even allow yourself to think, because your mind is so occupied and your mind is so enslaved, because now you've put all your time, energy, and focus onto working in order for your living circumstances to remain the same. You're working backwards, in my opinion. This is something that not a lot of people talk about. So that is why I've decided to do what I do, right? You have to figure out a way. You have to plan yourself. You have to plan a thorough plan in order to get out of this. Unless you want to live average, like I said, if you want to live average and do all the things that I mentioned that I don't recommend, but like I said, they give you the perks. But with that being said, now that is the reason why I decided to go this 7-month period without having a job, because I have found something that I enjoy doing that can bring me all the things that I want in this life, and this is through this podcast. Now, it's not going to take as long as that as a lot of people's, because I'm willing to put in the work that people are not willing to put in, quite frankly. But some people are not willing to take this risk. And life is life. In life, you need to take risks in this life, right? People do not do great things unless they risk something, right? You take a risk, or you risk being like everybody else, fellas. That is the motto for this is going to be the motto for this podcast. You either take a risk or you risk being like everybody else. And quite frankly, I'm not trying to be like everybody else. So therefore, I need to do something that isn't what everybody else is doing. So that is why I decided to take this period to really, sit with myself and think about the things that need to be thought about. So quite frankly, we're going to get into the actual podcast, all the things that I've learned in the 7-month period. Like I said, I'm going to start it off with this, and it's something that I kind of already referenced a few times, right? Most people do not even have enough time to think, Quite frankly, they don't. They're so preoccupied all the time that they don't have enough time to think about the things that truly need to be thought about in this life. The partner that you want, the life that you want to live, how you want to live it, the moments you want to experience, the people you want to do it with, the why that is greater than you. All these things that I mentioned on this podcast time and time again. People do not have enough time to think because, like I said, they're so preoccupied with their current living situation, whether it's working, whether it's, just getting caught up in the, just life in general, right? Which can happen to everybody and happens to everybody to an extent. They don't have enough time to think. And with not having enough time to think, there's also most people don't have enough time to really process emotion. Hear me out. Let's just say you get over a breakup around this period of time, right? This is something that I had to do myself. So I've been single for almost 2 years now, right? I had to get over things, not only my own issues that I had personally, but like also getting over a breakup, right? These things take time, and a lot of people do not give themselves enough time, and all they can do is distract themselves. So not only do they distract themselves with many, many things, but just getting caught up in the daily life is going to be somewhat of a distraction. But yet the problem isn't exactly solved, right? So like I said, people get caught up in life and do not have enough time to really process emotion. But there's certain things that you need to fully process before you can really move on with your life. Really move on. Because if you're not able to process the emotion, you're going to experience what I call a negative counter loop. You're going to have emotions, you're going to have thoughts, and you're going to have feelings that lead you downward. And now it might seem like you're making progress when in reality, the amount of progress that you could be making, if you allowed yourself to get over those things, allowed yourself to take the time to think, allowed yourself to really process the emotion, you get much further, right? But like I said, most people do not have enough time, and that is why I've taken this period of time in my life to, like I said, really focus on what needs to be focused on. Because quite frankly, working a job at this age, it has its perks, of course, and of course you need money, of course you need to pay off your things and stuff like that. But if you're fortunate enough to be in a situation like I'm in, then this is a risk that must be taken. Next one is going to be most people are distracted and consumed by their day to day life. There's not much to say about this, right? It is the way it is, right? People are not in control of their life. They're not living their life. They're being lived, and it's as simple as that, right? With your phone is your biggest distraction that you could ever have, right? If you don't have a healthy relationship with your phone's going to abuse the hell out of you. The algorithms are going to completely abuse your time, abuse your focus, abuse your attention all the damn time, right? That is something that I learned. I have in this period of time, this period of 7 months, I've instilled this habit where I have my phone. I'm not on my phone for the first few hours of the day because I want my thoughts to come to me naturally. I want my focus to be intentional instead of my attention and focus being put on things that are not going to bring me the best benefit of this life, right? Most people, they wake up in the morning, they get on their phone. What do? They scroll TikTok, they scroll Instagram, they go on Snapchat, they go whatever, right? You name it, right? They're letting their time, attention, and focus being split up into many different areas, right? And even there's going to be things that they don't even need to focus on, but yet it's still in their mind because they've seen it on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, whatever you want to say, Twitter, whatever, right? With that being said, it's not going to bring you the best thing because you're starting your day off already distracted. You're not starting off on the right foot. Most people don't start off on the right foot. So that is another reason why I decided to take this period, and that is something that I've learned through this period of time is most people are distracted, they're consumed, they're lost in the sauce. Is what I like to say. Simple as that. Before I go any further, I'm going to go ahead and read some comments. Yeah, you produce content every day with a low subscriber count, you will blow up at this work. That will exactly biggest victory exactly nah. But the new car maintenance will cost a lot of money exactly, especially on the type of car. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's a liability. And it's as simple as that. It's a liability. Like I mentioned earlier, the more liabilities you have, the less wiggle room you have. And in this life, when you're being young, you need as much wiggle room as you possibly can in order to really break out of the system. Because if not, then you're going to be nothing more than a slave to the system. You're going to be nothing more than just a worker who constantly is just working. The mind is being completely enslaved, right? It is very easy to get caught up in this life. GDP, appreciate for checking in, man. All right, the next thing that I've learned, yeah, and it kind of goes hand in hand with everything that I said. There's a small amount of people that are truly focused on their future, truly focused. Like I said, it is so easy to get distracted in this life. It is so easy to get caught up in your day to day life. And if you don't have this period of time where you don't work, right? This is something that I'm going to definitely recommend to somebody if you're, like I said, if you're fortunate enough to do this in this situation where you can. Um, but yeah, most people are distracted and consumed. Small amount of people are really future focused. Yeah, that's pretty much what I've learned, right? That's something that I've observed and something that you can observe yourself. If you're watching this, you can see that a lot of people are not really future focused. They're really focused on their current circumstance, and they don't think anything bigger than the current circumstance, right? And if the second you don't, they're intentionally not on the screen. By the way, I'm gonna let you know that right now. I've taken them off. You've been you've been lacking. I haven't done it in like 3 weeks. But yeah, I've taken them off the screen. It's too much of a distraction. But like I was saying, truly, there's not that many people that are truly future focused. Most people are focused in the present, and yeah. So with the 7 months that I've taken the time to really think about things, right? I've thought more about my master plan, and everybody should have a master plan. Everybody should be thinking a few steps ahead of where they are in the present moment. And if you're not, then you are lost in the sauce, like I'd mentioned, right? You should be future focused. If you're not future focused, if you don't have your next few moves plotted out, then you need to plot these things out. These things need time. These things need to be thoroughly thought out and eventually make a plan for yourself, right? If you don't have a plan for yourself, then you're just being lived. You're not living life, right? Most people are being lived. Simple. All right, next one is going to be with this period of time, it taught me a lot about my values and what I truly value and what I don't value and what I can live without, right? There's certain things that I value in other people. There's certain things that I value in life in general that need to be focused on, right? And a lot of people don't even know what they truly value. So they get abused, they get used, right? They allow things to happen to them that shouldn't exactly happen because they don't even have a clear understanding and a clear structure of where their values lie. This period of time, like I said, allowed me to think. And most people do not have enough time to think truly, right? To be able to freely think with no distractions, with no crazy, crazy obligations, with no, like I said, just distractions of life, right? Most people don't have enough time to think about these things. All right. With this, you need to think about the person you want to be, right? This has taught me more about the person that I want to be and the message that I'm trying to cultivate, right? And trying to portray. With this period of time, it allowed me to, like I said, evaluate not only the person that I want to be, but also maybe even the person by my side, right? Um, I want a certain caliber and quality of person by my side, and a lot of people don't even think about. Well, I would say a lot of men and women. Give me 1 second. A lot of men and women have a vague idea of what they want as a partner, right? It consumes the mind a lot, right? If you're watching this, if you're a man my age, even if you're a woman my age, right, around my age, and if you don't have a partner, right, it definitely consumes a lot of your mind. But now being more clear of exactly what you want and what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to, sacrifice. Like I said, understanding your boundaries, understanding the structure of your morals and values, right? If you don't have a clear understanding on these, you're not going to know what to be looking for. And here's the thing. What I thought about is this, and this is maybe I'm speaking for myself, but I see it in other people as well, right? If you're not able to really think about exactly the type of partner that you want, it's going to consume your mind anyways. So like I said, if you're not clear with what you want, then you're not going to be able to fully get what you really truly want. Now, like I said, I've taken the time to evaluate exactly what I look for in a partner, right? And since I've been able to do that, I've been able to attract people in my life. I've been able to attract women in my life that kind of go hand in hand with what I would like in a partner. In this life, if you want something, you need to be very clear with how you want it, why you want it, and what you want. And the second you become clear on those things is the second that you can actually bring it into the reality, right? I would say I manifested a lot of people into my life. I manifested a lot of the opportunities and things that have happened to me in my life because of the way that I thought. Most people just think, but they do not think intentionally. You need to think with intention because if you think with intention, then you actually have a place to go. You have a goal. You have something that's set in stone, right? You want, man. I can't. Hey, it is what it is, man. That's what I'm gonna say. Next one is going to be, yeah, something that I already mentioned, right? Slavery exists, but it doesn't exist within physical circumstance. It exists within enslavement of the mind, right? Most people are enslaved within their mind and within their life circumstances. It is an observation that I've seen from a bird's eye view, from a distance. I've seen people who constantly live the same type of life with no real plan for their future because they simply do not have enough time to think. That's pretty much all I'm gonna say right there. All right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna say this. This kind of go hand in hand with some of the other things that I'd mentioned before in another podcast. Right. Everyone needs a period or periods in their life for them to really lock in, or you'll be average forever. This is something that I would recommend calling monk mode. Monk mode is a period of life where you really lock in. You remove the distractions. You remove the bullshit of the daily. Right. You really lock in. Really lock in. A lot of people don't even know what that means. They think they know what that means, but they really don't. Right. To truly lock in, you need periods of time where you really, like I said, you really just evaluate what you want. And I'm going to keep repeating these things because these need to be repeated, right? Even if you get annoyed with this, hey man, you need to hear this. If you don't have your life in order, if your life, odds is you're not living the life exactly you want to live, right? With that being said, there's going to be things you're going to need to change. Simple. Another thing that I've observed within myself within this period of time, this is something that not many people experience, and most people don't experience, sadly. So within the first 2 weeks of me not having a job, my happiness skyrocketed. I was the most happy that I've ever been. And I realized how unhappy I was with my working circumstance. That was one of the craziest observations that I've seen. Because it's not that I was drained, but I kind of was drained, even though I didn't feel drained, but I didn't even know what being fully energized and fully happy even was. But thankfully, like I said, I allowed myself to, have the situation. And like I said, I seen how having a job was holding my happiness back, right? I was in this like little box almost. That's the way I would describe it. I was in this little box, and most people are in this little box, and most people never even get out of this little box or even know what life is like without living in that box. Like I said, it was very noticeable within 2 weeks. 2 weeks went by, and I was like, man, me putting in the work that I need to be putting in, me adding the structure into my life that needed to be put in, and I was like, wow, I'm truly happy, and like it felt like I had a burden lifted off of me, truly. So that was fantastic. That was fantastic. Um, I feel a little less nowadays, but quite frankly, compared to where I could be and where I'm going to be eventually, sadly. Um, like I said, you need periods of time where you, like I said, are not working. If you can afford the circumstance, take the risk. Bet on yourself. Take the risk. Um, yeah, I just want to say one more shout out to the people that I'm really thankful for that have allowed me to be in this opportunity, take full advantage of this. Shout out to my mom. Shout out to my stepdad John. Shout out to my dad. Shout out to my sister Bree. Shout out to my biggest supporters. Shout out to my grandma. Shout out to Anthony. And shout out to KJ for y'all watching me. Y'all encouraging me every single day. Y'all giving me the motivation to keep pushing forward. I appreciate you guys more than you guys know. All right. All right, I'm gonna give you a little bit of the insight of what is going to be, like I said, what this period of time would allow me to think, right? So step one, like I had mentioned earlier in this podcast, step one has been completed. Step one was lay down the foundation. Part of step two. Step two is gonna start the beginning in January, right? And if you see my story, then you see my story. Or if you got the message, then you see my message, right? Takeover 23 is what I'm calling it. Is going to be the year that I take over. It is going to be the year that everyone needs to take over. You need to take advantage of the life that you have, right? This is a big year ahead of us, right? Some people will just think it's another year. Other people will say that it is our year. 2023, this is my year, right? This is going to be takeover 23. Like I said, this is what I like to call it, right? And in this period of time, next year I'm going to have over 1,000 videos posted in that one year, with shorts, with podcasts and everything. I'm gonna hit over 200 podcasts next year. I'm gonna hit 100 podcasts. My 100th podcast is going to be, I want to say in February, if I'm not mistaken, if I did the math correctly. It should be in February. But yes, I'll be taking over, and you will see my uprise 2023, at the beginning of 2023. I'll be doing things slightly different around here. I'll be, and like I'd mentioned in another podcast, right? This is something I say to myself all the time. I'm on the quest from underrated to undeniable. Right now, I'm underrated. Right now, if you're watching this, you are watching the most underrated podcast that exists right now. Like I said, the recognition isn't there, and that is completely fine. The takeover, exactly, my guy, exactly. Let's go. The Jordan year is coming, 2023. Let's rise, exactly. It is going to be, like I said, the foundation has been built, man. I posted 70 podcasts, man. Come on now. I'm gonna get the merch going. I'm gonna get a lot. I got a lot of plans, man. I can't even tell everybody the plans, man. I'm just gonna keep it on the low. Just know that 2023 is Takeover 23. Simple as that. Yeah, like I said, you're watching the most underrated podcast right now. All right. Another thing that I wanted to mention, and I think this is very, very crucial, and something that I mentioned on a previous podcast, and something that, like I said, I'm going to continue to, be an advocate for. Within this period of time, I do believe that periods of celibacy and monk mode are absolutely essential when it comes to becoming successful in truly, truly successful on a grand scale, right? I think these things are needed. You're going to need to be able to remove yourself from distraction at times. And with this being said, I have taken the last 7 months to understand and fully immerse myself in the culture and of the mode of monk mode and of celibacy, right? I removed the distractions. I removed the temptation for a period of time because I realized what I wanted out of this life, and I realized that I need to remove the distractions in order to really lock in and create the solid foundation that I do have right now. I have a solid foundation, and no one can tell me otherwise, right? Like I said, I have 220 videos, at least 220 videos posted. I want to say it's almost 230 videos posted now. Like I said, the foundation has been laid, fellas. Like I said, step 2 of the 4-step plan, starting 23. All right. Another thing I want to mention is going to be the observation that I have made within this 7-month period, right? And it's something that I mentioned on a previous podcast, and something that I see other people talking about, and something that definitely needs to be mentioned. And is going to be a more of a thorough understanding of why I made the decision of taking that time to build this platform. It is going to be, we live in an attention economy. Anybody who's really good at cultivating attention on a grand scale is going to have the most leverage and have the most power and have the most influence in this life, right? The only way to do that is by having a platform, a voice, having a voice that people will listen to. That is going to be the most important thing within these next, let's just say, 15 to 20 years. If you're able to create a voice for yourself, people are going to listen. If you're going to create a voice and you have something to say, people are going to listen to you, right? And that is something that I see, and it's something that I realize that in order for me to, be able to influence the masses in a way that is going to benefit them and benefit pretty much, benefit everybody, honestly. The only way of doing that is by cultivating attention, right? And that is why I created this platform in the first place. All right, not one of the reasons why. It's one of the reasons why. It's not the main reason. And then also something I wanted to mention that I've observed within the 7-month period is the utilization of resources is absolutely key, right? A lot of people don't even recognize that they have the most valuable resource that has been in mankind in history, right? We have the internet. The internet is, like I said, the greatest resource that we could ever have at this current moment in time. With that being said, if you're not able to use the resources thoroughly, you're not going to be able to get the life. You're not going to be able to live the life that you want to truly live. Like I said, you have a lot of answers. If you do very, very minimal research, you'll have a lot of answers to a lot of the things that you question in life right now, right? You'll have a lot of the answers, but it's just a matter of you taking the time to look for and to think. It's about taking the time to understand what you need to learn and then learning about those things, right? Most people do not, most people don't take the time to think, period. So it's simple as that. I keep mentioning that because it's so sad. It's so sad in my opinion. So sad. So yeah, like I said, attention economy, that is what we're living in, right? The next thing is going to be censorship is here, fellas. If you still don't see it, you're living your life with your eyes closed. We are living in the time of censorship more than ever. And like I said, you see it with, I would mention Tate. You see it with the boy Kanye, right? He's being completely stripped from his entire everything. His entire existence is damn near being stripped right now. He lost a lot of his brand deals, pretty much all of them, and is continuing to live an interesting existence right now because, like I said, a lot of people don't agree with what he has to say, but a lot of people are removing him and don't think he's a good role model. But you need to understand what he's built and what he's done. And like I said, I'm not saying I agree with everything Tate or Kanye West says, but what I will say is I'm against censorship. That is something that I've learned about myself within this period of time. Is I'm not for censorship, quite frankly. I think everybody needs to have a voice, and I feel like there's something that you can learn from everybody, whether you can even learn something you don't like, right? But I feel like to really suppress a certain side, um, to suppress a certain message from being exposed, there's only one path. Then you need to be able to select what path you want, either this path or this path. But yet, if they remove this path, then you only have one that is being fed to you, and now you're not getting everything that you truly need to make an informed opinion and to become a quality person in this life, because you don't have all the resources that you possibly could have, right? With that being said, I am completely against it, and if, like I said, if you can't see it, man, you're just, like I said, you're living life with your eyes closed. And another thing with this, give me 1 second. Not only censorship here, the people who are getting censored, their message is constantly being misconstrued by the media. The media has the most power that it ever had. And even the people that have something truly great to say are truly not being fully expressed. And like I said, their character is even being taken out of character, taken out of context completely. It's very easy for somebody to say something and their entire view, their entire message be completely misconstrued, right? And that is something that I'm going to never back down on with my message that I'm giving. Is, if somebody has a misconception, I'm quite frankly going to go ahead and correct them. I'm going to address it thoroughly, because quite frankly it needs to be addressed, right? Some people are really not good at speaking. Most people are not good at speaking, and some of the people that you see nowadays that are being, you're basically letting the media misconstrue their message. They don't have a great response. They don't do it properly, right? I would say Kanye West he's not the best speaker. He's not, right? I can admit that he's not the best speaker. I'm not saying I'm better than him. I'm saying he's not the best speaker, and I'm not saying I'm the best speaker. But I'm saying, do I agree with the way he addressed his message being misconstrued and all the rumors about him being crazy? I would say hell no, no. And of course, you only have certain control over that. But what you need to realize is, if there's a misconception that somebody has about you, you definitely need to address it, because if one person has it, many people can have it. And if that one person gets the message out, then you have a completely misconstrued narrative about you that many people believe. And I don't think that's the correct way to live. So that being said, censorship is here. Media misconstrues messages, and with that being said, with my trajectory and the way I'm going to be able to address those things. They need to be addressed whenever they need to be addressed, and being able to, like I said, really, really shed a light on something that needs to be said, or, like I said, corrected at the very least. One thing that I've learned within this period of time, and something that I've learned even before that, was all limitations are self-imposed, right? So I've observed people and the way that they speak to themselves, and with that being said, I see that still there's so many limitations that they put on themselves, right? And if you're somebody close to me and I hear you speaking on a self-limitation, I'm going to correct you, because quite frankly you need to be corrected, and quite frankly you should be thanking me that I'm correcting you, because the way in which you're speaking is not conducive to the best life that you possibly can live. Something that I mentioned in a previous podcast, and something that still needs to be said. All limitations are self-imposed. If you believe in a self-limitation, it's exactly that. You believe in a self-limitation, right? Don't believe in any self-limitations in this life, because they're not gonna really do anything for you. They're not. But yeah, that's something that I've learned, right? If any limitation, I'm going to only go as far as I say I'm going to go. My ceiling is only going to be as high as I say it is, right? Now, if I say I don't have a ceiling, then quite frankly, I don't have a ceiling. If I say the sky's the limit, right? That's why people say that saying, the sky's the limit, right? You need to completely internalize and believe that for yourself. Another thing that I'm going to mention is these few key points. These few elements are absolutely essential to creating the life that you want to live. And like I said, I learned them, and really, not only did I learn them, but I really keyed in on them strategically in the 7th-month period. First one is focus is key. Focus is key, right? I cannot stress that enough. What you focus on a daily is going to create your future, right? The things that you choose to focus on right now is going to be able to set you up for where you are, let's just say 4 years from now, right? Or let's just say 10 years from now. The things that you're thinking about, the things that you truly focus on, the things you're locked in on are going to dictate where you see yourself in the future. And that is why I've strategically created a thorough focus and a thorough understanding of what I need to focus on. Because, like I said, it is so easy to get distracted nowadays, right? You have the greatest and the worst invention ever created, which is the cell phone, right? It's the greatest because it allows you to do so many things and access so many things at the tip of your fingers, right? But at the same time, if you have an abusive relationship with it, which most people have an abusive relationship with it, even if you're in denial, most people do have it. But focus is key, and focus is so easily taken advantage of. Um, with obviously having your phone, right? Like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, most people wake up, they go on their phone, right? Instantly, your focus is somewhere where it probably shouldn't be. And here's the thing: even if you are seeing a lot of good things on your phone, right? You scroll down social media enough for the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, hour. I don't know how long you stay in bed on your phone, but let's just say you do it for an hour, right? You're going to see plenty and plenty of things that are not conducive to what you should be focused on. You're going to see some bullshit that doesn't even matter in your real life, that doesn't even affect you, right? Who the hell cares about these things? You shouldn't care about these things. You should be very, very protective of what you choose to focus on because, like I mentioned earlier, what you choose to focus on is going to create the person that you are in the future. So that is why I strategically make sure my focus is not being controlled, and I want to make sure that I have full control over what I truly focus on, and not have somebody tell me what I need to focus on. Right. Another thing is this. Another thing that I've really keyed in on this 7th month journey is going to be self discipline. Self discipline is one of the most important things that everybody needs in this life. Right. The more you lack it, the more you wish you had it, and the more you're going to wish you had the life that you want to live. Self discipline is going to be key and going to be absolutely essential for anyone trying to live a life worth living, in my opinion. Right? If you lack self discipline, you're going to be feeling FOMO, and if you don't know what FOMO is, fear of missing out. You're going to be literally missing out because you're not going to be the person that you should be. With that being said, self discipline is something that I've applied in this period of time, and it has paid dividends for sure. It is paid off more than I could even imagine. Right? Let's just say, for example, right. Since I've been going to the gym, I've been going to the gym this period of time. I want to say I've been going to the gym maybe like 5 months now. I previously went for over a year, and then I had to stop because I used to work at a gym. After you work at a gym, after you work at the gym that I worked at, right? If you quit, they they have a 3 month period where you can't go back. Stupid, whatever. So I've been working out for 5 months, and in this 5 months, like I said, I've been able to really focus in on working out, and not only focus in on working out, work on the self discipline that it takes to work out. Right. With that being said, I've been able to work out 5 to 6 days a week. For the most part, I'm working 6 days a week, working out 6 days a week, and this self discipline is very very key because, like I said, what you choose to focus on and what you discipline yourself to do is going to create who you are in the future. So, with that being said, I've created a foundation of great habits that are going to pay dividends in the future. The more I do them, the more that they're going to compound, right? So working out is one of those things. I'm never going to stop working out. I'm never going to stop working out. You heard it here first. I'll be 80 years old working out. That is just a life that I chose for myself, and that is what I'm going to be focused on. So that is the way it is. Next one is going to be the next thing that I've learned over this period of time is going to be about gratitude. A lot of people need to be grateful for the things that they have. A lot of people need to be grateful for the people that they have in their life, right? Here's the thing: I feel like everyone, no matter how much you express your gratitude, I feel like there's more that you could express. You need to be thankful for the life that you have. If you're watching this, you need to be thankful for the set circumstances that allowed you to be where you are right now, to allow you to have the house that you're living in, to allow you to have the phone that you have, that allows you to being able to even charge your phone in the first place to even watch this, right? You need to be thankful for all these little things because all these little things create what your life is right now. And the more you express your gratitude, the more life is going to reward you. That's what I will say. The more you are thankful for what you have, the more is going to come. Right? I feel like that is karma in itself, right? So yeah, that is something that I definitely focused on and something that was definitely absolutely key when it came to um, something that I learned this 7th month period. Also, another perspective and something that I learned over the 7th month period is going to be happiness. Right, I view happiness completely different than I ever have, honestly. Andrew, appreciate you stopping by. Happiness is something that not a lot of people talk about, man. A lot of people have this ideal of happiness, but they need to realize that happiness is nothing more than just a temporary emotion, and these emotions come and go. With emotions coming and going, you need to realize that what is to be happy, anyways, right? So, this is something that I thought for myself. When it comes to my definition of happiness, happiness to me is not being sad and not having a bad day. Now, what having a bad day is something that I've also thought about as well, right? A bad day is something, if something absolutely tragic and life altering changes within my life, that is a bad day. Now, quite frankly, I don't have many bad days. Quite frankly, I don't even believe that I have any bad days, or at least I haven't had that many bad days in my entire life. So with that being said, I'm a pretty happy person because of that, right? Of course, there's going to be moments that are going to be your low moments, but those low moments are exactly what they are. They're nothing more than just low moments. They're temporary moments in time. A lot of people have this false utopia of their view of happiness, and they think it's something that you could just have and then always have. And that's not always the case. Like I said, happiness is nothing more than just a temporary emotion that's going to come and go. It's going to come in waves. Sometimes you're going to have good days, sometimes you're going to have bad days, but you cannot have the good days without the bad days. You cannot be happy without being sad, right? That is just a cycle of life. That is just how life is, right? And you have to accept it and just appreciate it for what it is. Understand that these things are nothing more than just a human experience. With the human experience, you need to be thankful for even having the human experience in the first place, because quite frankly, there's a lot of people who have had the life experience that you take advantage of every single day. They've had it taken away from them, right? That's why you need to be thankful for the things that you have. And that is why, like I want to stress again, gratitude is so important, and it is something that I keyed in on within the 7th month period, right? So to go over all the things, I'm not going to go over them too thoroughly, but basically, what has 7 months of without having a job taught me? If I could sum it up to a few different points, it's going to be this right here. 1, you need to create a way out. I have chosen to do this because it is what I deem to be my way out of the life that is average. You need to break out of the matrix, fellas. Right? If you're watching this, you need to break out of the matrix eventually. If you're in a set circumstance, there's a way out. You just got to thoroughly think about the way to get out, right? You need to ask yourself the right questions. In this period of time, I've allowed myself to really think, not only to think of the questions to ask, but also to answer the questions that I thought about. So you need to create a way out, or your mind's going to be enslaved, and you're going to be continuously doing the same things that lead you to the same place that allows you to stay average. I recognize that most people never have enough time to think, let alone enough time to process emotion. And in this life, you need to be able to thoroughly get over emotion, or it's going to be holding you back in every aspect of life. I don't care what you tell me. If you haven't got over something, if you haven't allowed yourself to really thoroughly get over an emotion, a breakup, a passing of somebody, if you haven't given yourself the truly enough time to really thoroughly think about these things and thoroughly get past these things, then they're going to hinder you. Now, even if you don't feel hindered, you're hindered. I'm going to let you know, because the amount of progress that you could possibly make without that burden on your back, without that fully processed emotion, you're going to be limited. You're going to be limited. I don't care what anybody says to me. You're going to be limited. Your potential is going to only be the highest when you have very, very little emotional burdens, right? And I feel like a lot of people, like I said, just let feelings linger on way more than they should, because they don't have enough time to thoroughly think them through. Or they just constantly remind themselves of something that is negative, right? It also is where your mind is at, but you understand what I'm saying. Some of the other things that I learned, if I could sum it up real quick, like I said, just basically have gratitude, understand that self-discipline is so important, and understand that moments in time where you have a strategic focus is so key, or you will remain average for the rest of your life. Other than that, fellas, I think I said everything I wanted to say. So if you're in here right now, I appreciate you for stopping by. Make sure you leave a comment just so I can see who's in here. Make sure you leave a like on the video as well. Also, make sure you check out my TikTok. It's called Life of Champ Podcast. I post every single week, a few videos every single week. I want to say I post 5 days a week, ideally, and within those 5 days, I post about 3 TikToks a day. So make sure you tap in with that. Also, make sure you go ahead and like the YouTube Shorts as well, because I've been posting those a lot recently. So tap in with that as well. Other than that, fellas, I appreciate everyone for stopping by. This was the Life of a Champ podcast, episode number 70, talking about the 7th month period of time and what it has taught me in my life. I'm going to be going live on next Tuesday, so make sure you stay tuned with that, episode number 71 of the Life of a Champ podcast. A few more things I want to say. You're watching the most underrated podcast that exists right now. Takeover 23 is only a few months away. So we got to make sure we are taking advantage of the time we have right now to finish the year off in the ways we need to finish it. We need to set ourselves up for success and create the foundation right now so our 2023 can be the best year that we ever lived. I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that. One more thing I want to say is, fellas, out here we don't just work. We outwork. So make sure you outworking these motherfuckers every single day. Come on now. Y'all have a good rest of your night, man. And until next week, make sure you stay locked in, man.